Ooh, hello, good morning everybody. How are we? It has been a long weekend, so I'm assuming it's a little harder to be here this morning, especially for some of you guys with your Feelingsforth map, but I'm excited. We're good to go. Tell me about your weekends. Did anyone do anything special for the long weekend and Thanksgiving and all that kind of stuff? Mine was kind of nice. I had a wedding. My cousin got married. He's 25, I believe, and it was kind of fun because I used to teach at the school he was at, and his older sister as well, and so there was a ton of students that I taught there. Really interesting to see them. One of them I did not recognize at all. Like, the name I knew I taught her, and so I went back and looked at the yearbook picture of her, and she looked so different, so I was like, no wonder I didn't recognize her. Your mom's friend's son got married. Oh, cool. That's all. Were you guys at the wedding? You're that close with them? That's great. Went to dinner, then hosted one yesterday. Ooh, did you do the cooking, Caitlin, at all, or did you help out? Vancouver, Cassie, that's great. Was it raining in Vancouver? I don't know what the weather was like there. Oh, Caitlin, come on, you gotta do some cooking. It was raining, yeah, I bet. I wasn't with my parents where my parents said they wish I went, though. Oh, that's nice. That's nice that they wanted you to be there, so good. Anybody else? How was everyone else's weekends? Hopefully you guys had a good time. We are getting closer, our renovations being, the big stuff's done, which is good. I actually spent a lot of yesterday organizing the piles of stuff that's everywhere, and so now we have, my husband Terrence are coming into town on Tuesday next week for a concert thing or whatever, so ate a lot, yes, definitely. Yeah, so I've been doing all that. Jess has joined us, so that's awesome. Good, good. Yeah, so good. That's great. I hope you guys had a good long weekend. Everything went well for you guys. So today, Tuesday morning, you all. That's my little graphic says, but I'm always covering. You know what? I got to get used to like shifting my graphic over because I'm always kind of standing in the way. So I'm going to start trying to remember to shift it over so it's easier to see. So, okay. So let's start with the calendar coming up. So today there's actually, I know it's like boom, we're full on into the week here with Tuesday happening. But 1 to 2:30, there's some volunteering for food banks. So I really hope you guys are coming to that. It's a very, very worthwhile thing to be coming to. So please make sure that you guys are coming to that as well. So that would be great. And then McMillan Farms from 11 till 12. And you'll go there. It looks like there's hot chocolate and cookies. What else do you want? And then you get to pet cute animals and see cute animals. So really great thing to do. So make sure you're planning on doing that. Great, Caitlin. That's great that you're going to that. The other thing I need to mention, I just got an email from Mr. Beetlestone. Robotics is starting. So it's normally going to be on Mondays from 1 to 3. But because there was no school yesterday, he does want to get it started this week. So it's going to be happening tomorrow from 1 to 3. So if you're interested in the robotics, show up tomorrow, 1 to 3, and then after that, it's going to be Mondays, 1 to 3. So just so you guys know. Yes, he is awesome. I used to work with him at another school before working with him here, so it's kind of nice getting to work with him again. Cool, I can't wait to see some of the stuff you guys have done with robotics. So I've heard it's quite legendary, so that's that'll be great to be able to see some of that stuff. Okay. I just want to, Kirsten N., I sent you a private message. Can you just double check that at some point? And Cassandra M., I don't think she's in this right now. I'm just going to send her, you need to be in live. Okay, so hopefully she'll get on there as well. So good. Okay. Today, we're not going to be going, obviously, I have another class that I teach normally on Tuesdays, so I won't be able to go the entire time with you. So I'm planning on ending around 10:30 or so with you. So today, I'm going to talk about some of the owing work stuff that is coming up. And test reminder, we're going to do some more on polynomials. I love polynomials, they're so awesome. Practice, there's something I wrote hand in on here. You're actually not going to be handing it in. I changed my mind on that. And then a quiz coming up on Monday on this stuff. So let me start talking first off with owing work. So I am trying to stay on top of what you guys are missing and need to still hand in. And I'm trying to send messages. You guys can see your grades all the time. And some of you are starting to be a little bit behind, so it's a little concerning, especially when this week you need to be taking that test for this unit that we just finished. So if you guys can start kind of going through and making sure you have everything handed in, look at your grades. Don't focus on the grades necessarily, because remember, I'm going to probably use the test as really a good final marker of where you're at. But look at that to see what's missing. Some of you guys are not handing in things as PDF, and I can't mark them when they're not in PDF, so start getting used to that CAM scanner and uploading it that way, so that works better for me, okay? Yeah, so that's that with the test. So obviously yesterday, I had someone yesterday take the test, but as soon as you have your stuff completed, you have to have the test done by Friday at 3 p.m. So once you feel that you're ready to go, shoot me a message and say, hey, Ms. Mack, I'm ready to take the test. I'll double check things, and then I'll shoot a message home, an email home to your parents, one of them, both of them, whatever, and give them the password. So it needs to be vigilated, and I'll go over that here in a second. Yeah, and then today I'm going to be giving you guys a whole bunch of practice stuff, but you don't have to do all of it. You can just kind of bounce around and pick questions you want to do and practice that way. I was going to get you to hand something in, and then I thought, you know what, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to instead give you guys a quiz on Monday, and then if you guys have any questions, hopefully you can get them solved for Math Help Thursday from 1 to 3, okay? All right. Good. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of messages. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Oh, I closed it. I didn't mean to do that. Un momento, por favor. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay. All right, so what I want to do first is just mention this again to you guys. You have to have the test done this week by Friday the 13th. So that has to be completed. You can do it at any time as long as there's someone there vigilating. And what vigilating means is someone is there, basically in the room, ensuring that you're taking the test and you're following the expectations with that, okay? No, actually, you got look up the history of what Friday the 13th is. I think we have, you know, in society and in modern society and everything, we've sort of changed the meaning of actually what it is and where it came from. So look that up. I'm not going to get into that with you guys, but it's quite interesting where Friday the 13th, what happened on that day, and that kind of gave it that connotation that it's sort of a bad day, and then how we've sort of evolved it into like this super bad day. So I'll talk about the midterm in a second. Oh, he's born on the 13th. That's cool. No, it was not a guy with a chainsaw. No, there's history meaning like centuries ago. Like there was something that happened quite a long time ago. So, but there is a Friday the 13th is a movie with the chainsaw, and that's how our society evolved that. But yes, that's kind of funny. Okay, so let's go over. Okay, so the test. Sometime this week, closed books, so you can't look at any paperwork. No cell phone, because I do know that you guys have apps that'll help you solve things and everything. Nothing on your computer except the test, okay? So no tabs open up on the bottom or anything like that. No other use of any other learning materials. You can use a calculator, but not your cell phone calculator. You need to make sure that everything is marked, handed in. There's a quiz that some of you guys owe me, all this kind of stuff. So I know it says on here that it's only, that you only have to worry about the learning guide and stuff, but that's not accurate. I want you guys making sure like you have everything completed and you're prepared for this. So I want you guys to do well. Your parents will then get an email with the code. So one or both of them, I'll send an email. They will have the same instructions that you guys get, so they know the expectations, and then they'll kind of just be in the room supervising you while you're taking the test, okay? So any questions on sort of the expectations of what you're going to be doing on the test? Anything like that? It's not super hard. Most of you guys are starting to show that you have an understanding of what you're doing. You've had lots of practice stuff. I've seen a few of you guys for the Math Help, which is fantastic. Okay, so you guys will rock it. You'll do fine. You just have to make sure you're going in, remember, with that positive attitude. Make sure you are prepared. Lying to yourself and doing nothing and coming in and saying, I'm going to do awesome when you know, like make sure that you are doing that prep work and making sure that you are okay to go with this. There are 16 questions, I believe. So nothing overly strenuous. Yes, there are. No, it's not. No, negative is only a portion of it. So there are negatives, but that's only a small portion of the test. Okay? All right. Any last questions on the test? Okay. All right. The test is on the last unit we just finished on. So it's on all the exponents and all that stuff. So unit 1 stuff, everything we've been doing up to this point, not the polynomials. Okay. All right. Midterm. So next week on Wednesday, there is the midterm at 1 o'clock. You will need to be here. You will need to come, take the test, and then as soon as you're done, you can go. So you're going to have to make some kind of, oh, that is WE Day. Okay. Let's 1 second. One second, I'm just going to send Mrs. Ward a message. I'm just going to mention the 18th is WE Day. Should I get some to come in on Tuesday? Okay. All right. So I just sent a message to Mrs. Ward just saying, okay, so with some, how many of you guys are going to WE Day? I don't think there's a ton of you. Okay, so Jocelyn, Belle, here, let me just jot this down. Jocelyn, Belle, Angelina, Cassie H, Bryn. I don't want to go now to Harper. No, it's too late. They can't go. You can't be last minute. Okay, so I just have Bryn, Cassie, Jocelyn, Angelina, and Belle. So I have 5 of you. Okay. Oh, okay, missed you. Okay, and Caitlin T. Okay, so 6 of you guys are going. So what I will do is just probably I might get you guys to come in Tuesday at lunch. Or not at lunch, at 1 o'clock, and get you guys to come in and take it at that point. So, okay. All right, so either way, for the rest of you, and general protocol, no matter if it's Tuesday or Wednesday, you're leaving on Tuesday. When you guys come back? You come back. Okay, oh, you know what? So maybe I'll do it on Thursday. Maybe I'll do it on Thursday for some of you guys that are gone, because then it's during math help. Okay, so yeah, so let's do that. So the people who are gone to WE Day, I'll get you 6 to come in Thursday during math help, and you guys will do it at that point starting at 1. Everyone else, you're coming in on Wednesday at 1, and you'll have to make arrangements to get here and arrangements to get picked up. And you'll need a calculator, you'll need a pencil, eraser, you know, that kind of thing, scrap paper to do work on, all that kind of stuff. And then you'll be doing the midterm here. It's not going to be hard. It's because we've done, basically, you're getting a test this week. So next week it's going to be what you just kind of got tested on, plus a little bit of the polynomial stuff. So it's not going to be overly too strenuous. It's not going to be overly long. So it's all good. It's just kind of an experience for you guys to come in and take the test and do all that kind of stuff. Okay. So so yeah. So we'll go from there. Yeah, you can use a calculator for that, for the midterm and stuff. Okay. All right. So I think that's all I'm going to kind of talk about there, unless anyone has any questions about the tests, old work, the midterm, anything like that. Does anyone have anything they would like to ask before I continue on with any of that stuff? Okay. All right. So Okay, what we're going to do today, so can I come in? If you are, yes, if you are one of the 6 people that are going to We Day, you're coming Thursday at 1 instead of Wednesday, okay? All right. Okay, so let's get going on today's stuff. So does anyone have any questions that kind of emerged from any of the work that you did last day that you want me to go over with you or anything like that? So we had 2 things that you guys had to do for practice, and then you had you guys have to come, Caitlin P. and Sean, you guys actually have to take a flight and you need to arrive. I would suggest arriving on like maybe Monday or Tuesday, and then that way you're not going to be so jet lagged. And then it'll give you a chance to kind of study on the Tuesday, and then you can come on Wednesday, and then you can leave, take a plane even in that evening and go back home. I'm totally kidding. No. You know what? That's a good question. I will get back to you on that. I know. I don't care for acting, but I'm good at pretending sometimes. So I will make a note about you two. I think what I'll probably do is just send it to you guys for you two. So, okay. That would be kind of, I wish I could make them come. That would be kind of funny. Okay, so Caitlin and Sean, midterm. Okay, I'm just writing myself a note to remind myself to find out about that. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, that would be hilarious. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? Like I said, you had 2 for practice, 1 to hand in, and so hopefully you guys are on top of that and getting all this stuff handed in. That would be fantastic. Okay, I have a whole bunch of messages here. I'm just going to see if I can catch up on a couple of them here. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just sending another message to Mrs. Ward. Okay, so we're done with that. Okay, perfect. And Kirsten, I believe Mrs. Ward was talking to you, so I sent you a message. Can you just reply to that message? Just letting me know kind of what happened there, because I know Mrs. Ward sent a message, but I just want to make sure we're good to go. Okay, has it snowed in Kelowna? No, it's snowing apparently on the Coquihalla. Williams Lake got a little dusting. Starting to happen, but it's not quite happening yet. So, okay, which is good, because I don't like snow. I'm not a winter person. Oh, see, I'd be fine. You know what? I would miss it but I would want to come back for a couple days, but then like totally bugger out after that and go back to the heat. So, yeah. Okay, it may snow on Friday. Dylan, don't even talk like that. Don't even. It's bad. Okay, focus. All right, so none of you guys have questions, which is fine. The practice worksheets, I think with the answer key, you guys are able to sort of figure that out. Even if you're struggling, you can kind of go back at the answer key and go, oh, okay, I see what they're sort of doing there. So. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 sections today, and we're going to kind of do 2 sections the next day and moving on and so forth. So, that being said, Monday I will not be here. I'm gone for a meeting all day. So Mrs. Wyatt will be here. You won't be going into live that day. You'll just stay in Blackboard with her, just so you know. So yeah, so just keep that in mind, but you guys still need to attend. There's still going to be work. There's still going to be everything associated with that. Okay. So we've kind of did some basic stuff, and one of the things that you did, which is really good because you're going to be looking at it here as well, is when you had a negative number, something like that, on the outside, remember we were talking about how because we're lazy in math, we don't put the actual 1 in front. So this law is called the distributive law, and you guys have actually been working with it already, and we're just going to look at it a little bit more. So we have to make sure that we times everything by that number, okay? and that gets our answer. So you guys were doing that already in the previous stuff. So what we're going to be doing is looking at it when it's not just a negative number, okay? So ready with the notes, everything good. We're going to be doing something called expanding polys. Okay. All right, so let's do this one. So write down 4x, 3x subtract 5. So just like with the exponent law when we had, like, don't write this down, but remember we had that exponent, I called it the knocking at the door one, where it was knocking and it had to go visit everyone in that little apartment-y area or whatever. Same thing here. This is, even though it's not an exponent, it's still knocking at the door and it needs to go visit everything inside the apartment. So it's going to go and visit this guy, and it's going to go and visit this guy. So if there's 20 things inside that bracketed apartment, it's going to visit all 20 things, and how it interacts with them is dependent on the visit with them. So this guy, so 4x times 3x, so 4 times 3 is 12, so we worry about the coefficient. And then x times x. What is x times x? Yeah, x to the power of 2, perfect. Okay, so that's the first one. So then we have to do the second one. So now the 4x has to go visit the subtract 5. So I'm going to put, it's going to be negative, which means adding negative 5. It's kind of all the same thing. So it's going to be negative because of positive times the negative. 4x times 5, we get 20, and it stays as an x. Okay, so that is the basic expanding technique. This is a little bit more of a simple one just because there's only a couple things in there. The exponents were sort of kind of in a simple kind of way. Okay, all right, so I'm going to give you guys a question. Here is your question. Negative 4a to the power of 3b, then we have brackets, 2a squared b minus 3a squared plus b. Okay? I want you guys to do that right now, and I'll give you guys 1 minute to do that. Okay, so let's have a peek at this one. So knocking at the door technique. So I'm going to multiply first. I'm going to start with this one. So I have a negative 4 times a positive 2. I do the coefficients, so I get negative 8. Now I have a to the power of 3 times a to the power of 2. Remember, when you do that, you're adding. You add those exponents. So it's going to be a to the power of 5. Then I have my b to the power 1, b to the power 1, which is b to the power of 2, because you add them up. So then I'm going to do this one now. So a negative 4 and a negative 3 is positive 12 when you multiply them together. So then I got a to the power of 3 and a to the power of 2. Again, you add those, so you get a to the power of 5. And there is no b right there, so it's just going to stay just the 1b from the first one, okay? And then we just add on, and then we go to this guy here, and so this is going to be negative 4 times that imaginary 1 that's in front. Remember, there's that imaginary 1 there. So negative 4 times positive 1 is negative 4. There is no a there, so it stays a to the power of 3, and there's a b and a b, so it's b to the power of 2. Okay, so hopefully you guys got that answer. If you didn't, fantastic, all good, but hopefully you can see where there's any discrepancy there. Okay, all right. I'm going to give you another one, because now not only are you going to do like the sort of knocking at the door with the coefficient and stuff that's in front, with the polynomial in the front, but now what you're going to have to do is there's going to be 2 of them, and you're going to have to then start joining like terms to simplify it even further. Okay, so let's do this. Here's your next question, and I'll give you guys 2 minutes to do this one. So 5, and then in brackets 2a minus 4b plus c, subtract 4, and then in brackets a plus 6b minus 2c. Okay, so you're going to have to do the same technique here, and you're going to have to do this technique here, and then once you've simplified those with the brackets, then you're going to have to do some further joining of like terms. Okay, 2 minutes, go. All right, so hopefully that was enough time for you guys to get this finished. So if you got stuck at all or made errors, that's totally fine. Just make sure you can kind of understand what's happening. If you have a question, let me know. All right, so what I'm going to do is take the 5 and multiply it to everything in here. So I get 10a, because 5 times 2 is 10, and then the a. Then I get the negative 20, and there's nothing else there but a b, and then I just get 5c. So now please remember, this is together, okay? So it's going to be negative 4 times a, which is negative 4a, or plus negative, okay? Negative 1 times 4. So however you look at it, it kind of works out the same way. Then I'm going to multiply this way, so it's negative 24b, and then I'm going to multiply the last one, which is positive 8c. So now what I need to do is join like terms. So yes, I've simplified it with the little chunks, but now I have to do one next step and start joining them together. So what I'm going to do, so this is where on your own work and even on like tests and stuff, if you want to do this, I don't care, like anything that you hand into me, if you have highlighters or if you want to circle things or do any little symbols, you totally can. Anything to help you is better. The negative 4, this guy, is right here. So I took, sorry, I got to change my color here. I went to the negative 4 times the 6b. So that's how I got negative 24b. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do, it is, of course, a 6. I print so neatly. I don't even understand why you're confused. I don't get it. Okay, so I'm going to go and highlight my A's. I am going to do a different color for my B's. And then I'm going to do another color for my C's. And what this does will help me see which ones I have to put together, because I'm not kidding you. Sometimes you're going to have like 10 things written there, and you're going to be like, oh, did I use that already? Did I forget it? And you might, you know, mess up. You might have all this stuff there, but totally mess up. So this way it kind of helps you that way. Okay? So I have 10A minus 4A, so I get 6A. Now I'm going to look at my B's, the greens. Negative 20 minus 24, which is negative 44B. And now I'm going to look at the blues, and I have 5C plus 8C is 13C. So that will be your final answer, simplified. If you leave it like this, unfortunately, it will be marked as correct, because you always want to simplify. Just like when you have a fraction, you always put it in reduced form, simplify it and stuff like that. Same thing with this stuff. You have to get it to the bottom part. Okay? How are we with that? Hopefully we're good. So it's just a matter of just making sure you multiply everything and join like terms. And we're going to get to the fun one now, okay? So we're going to learn, how many of you guys have heard of the word FOIL when it comes to math? So we're going to look at FOIL. All right. Might be a new concept to you, never heard of it. Yeah, it might be something that some of you kind of heard the words a few times. Maybe last year in grade 9 you might have actually touched upon it. But this one is really kind of cool, and each word represents something. And so some of you said you kind of heard about it. Does anyone know what any of these letters stand for? It's kind of like an acronym for things. And these are notes as well, so make sure you guys are writing this down. Does anyone know what the F, the O, the I, and the L stand for? Does anyone want to take a guess what the F would stand for? So remember what we're doing. We're multiplying things. Oh, look at you, Angelina. You do remember. That's perfect. So in your notes, the F stands for first, and the L stands for last. Okay? And so when we're going to be doing some of the questions, it's talking about the first numbers and the last numbers. The O stands for the outside, and the I stands for the inside. Okay, so it's going to seem totally confusing because you have no idea what I'm talking about, but we'll get to that in a second. You did so much foiling. Good, because it's fun. It's totally fun. Okay, I'm not going to break these notes down into really small components. I'm just going to use an example to explain this to you, as I think that's probably the best way to do this. So I'm going to give you a question that needs you to do the FOIL technique, and then you'll see sort of what I'm talking about. So 3x subtract 4 in brackets, and then another bracket 2x plus 1. So this is really exactly the same as what we were doing in the previous kind of questions, except now we have 2 things in the bracket in front of it instead of just 1. So instead of just negative 4 in the front, we have now a 3x. So we have to make sure it's still a knocking at the door technique. We have to make sure that everything goes and visits everything, okay? And that's why they have this technique called FOIL. So I'm going to show you sort of how I do it, and it's the O and the I kind of don't matter how you do it. Just make sure you do the first and the last, kind of in that order. So what I would do is I would go, F stands for first. So you're going to multiply the 2 first terms in the brackets together. Okay, so let's do that. So 3x times 2x, you get 6x squared. Okay. All right, hopefully good there. Now what you're going to do, this is what I do, is sort of do the O part, which is like the outsides of both brackets. So kind of the outstretch, the outside left side, so you can't see my arm, outside left side, and then the outside right side. Okay, so I'm going to use a different color. So now I'm going to take the outside left and times it by the outside right. So that's where the O comes from. So 3x plus 1 is plus 3x, or times positive 1. Sorry, I said that wrong. Okay, so that's the F and the O. The I is taking the 2 inside ones. So we've done this one, and we've done this one. So now we're left with the two inside ones. So I'm going to go these two together times that. So I have a negative 4 times 2x, which is negative 8x. Okay. And then all we have to do is the last, which is the last two numbers, which is in the brackets. Negative 4 times positive 1 is negative 4. Okay. Then once you do that, you have to continue that simplifying. Okay. So then I'm just going to rewrite it. The 6x squared stays because there's nothing else to join it with it. There's no like terms that match it. However, that being said, these two do. So if I have a plus 3x and a negative 8x, I have subtract 5x, and then there's nothing else to match with that constant, which is a negative 4. Okay? And that's FOILing. So it's just a matter of bouncing back and forth that way. Okay? Everyone good with that? Just going to check some stuff here. Okay. I'll get back to you here in a second, Belle. Okay? All right. So we'll do another question. Going to be good. Okay. We'll do another question here. Definitely. We won't just do one. Okay. Let's do this one. So that was question number 1. Let's do question number 2. So let's do 5x subtract 4 and 4x subtract 3. Okay? 5x minus 4, 4x subtract 3. So using the FOIL technique, even if you don't even remember what the FOIL stands for, what it means, just make sure that each number is multiplying to each number, okay? So I'm going to start off with F, which stands for first, okay? So I'm going to take the first polynomials in each bracket and multiply them two together. I'm going to try to go to the field trip, yes, Jocelyn. I'm hoping to do so for sure. Okay, so I'm going to multiply those two together, and I get 20x squared, okay? I think you meet at the food bank, I believe. I don't know. I will find out. So 20x squared, that's the first. Then I'm going to do the outside ones. I'm going to try to change my colors so you guys can see. So now that's the outside left and the outside right. Okay, so I'm going to multiply those two together. What's the name of it? Because I've seen many. There's only one food bank in Kelowna as far as I know. It's downtown here. So I'm not sure. You'll have to just look up on the Moodle screen, okay? Just look up on the Moodle screen, okay? The address and everything's there. Okay, back to math. 5x minus 3, so then I multiply those together. I get negative 15x, okay? And then I'm going to multiply the insides now. So these are the two I have to multiply together now. So I get negative 16x, and then the L stands for the last. Okay, so I'm going to take the two last digits, and I get positive 12. Sorry, I got a little squishy there. Okay, so just make sure that you are going 5x and you're multiplying it to both items there, and then you're taking the negative 4 and multiplying it to both items there. That's all you're really doing. You're, instead of doing just one digit like we did here, so let me go back here. So here, what you did here was you took this one polynomial and multiplied it to everything inside, okay? Now what we're doing in here is we have two things, and so we do the yellow that we did here, okay? You do the yellow, you multiply all that one to everything inside, and then you take the second polynomial, the negative 4, the constant, and you multiply to everything inside. So that's basically what we're doing, and they just do a FOIL technique to organize it a little bit. All right, so then if I simplify, this does not change. There's nothing to simplify it to. These guys are exactly the same, so I'm going to join them together, which is negative 31x, and then the constant 12, there's nothing to simplify it with, so it stays as that. okay? So just remember, take one term, multiply by everything in the apartment brackets next door, then take the other term and multiply it to everything in the brackets next door, okay? So that's all you guys are going to be doing with that. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a question to do, and it's the same thing. No matter how many terms I add, you just want to make sure you're multiplying in there. So I'm going to give you guys a question here. Okay. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do this as well. That's a 7. 7. Okay, 2 minutes to do that question. Go. Okay, so let's see how you guys did. So remember, I'm going to take the 3a and multiply it by both values inside the other bracket. So 3a times 7a is 21a, oh, stop it, 21a squared. Why is it doing that? Stop. Okay, and then 3a times the negative 2b is negative 6ab. Because remember, I can't join the a and the b together, so they have to stay separate like that. So then I'm going to now also multiply the b to everything inside the other bracket. So b times 7a is 7ab, and then b times negative 2b is negative b squared. So now I have to do my simplifying. There is nothing else that I can simplify except these guys, because those have the same term, the same base. So when I simplify this, the 21a squared stays the same. The 2b squared stays the same. The only thing that changes is that I join these two terms together, and I have a negative 6 and a positive 7, which means I only have one ab, and I don't have to put the 1 there. Okay, if you put the 1 there, that's totally fine. So hopefully you guys are okay with that one. Okay. So if I had the same question, but now I keep adding variables, it's the exact same technique. So let's look at this one here. I'm just going to have to actually, let's do it this way. Okay, I'm going to give you one that has extra terms in it. So 2x plus 3 timesing x squared minus 5x plus 7. Okay, so this is the exact same. All right, the only thing, you just have to make sure everything in the front here multiplies to everything in the next bracket. And then you have to make sure that everything, the 3 multiplies to everything in the next bracket. That's it, okay? So if I go 2x, if I do this 2x, and I'm going to now multiply it by the x squared, I get 2x to the power of 3, okay? Because remember, x and x squared, we add the exponents, so 1 plus 2 is 3. Then I'm going to go 2x, and I'm going to multiply it by the negative 5x, so I get negative 10x squared. Okay. And now I'm going to do the last one. I'm going to do the 2x. I'm going to times it by the 7, which is 14x. So what I just did there was took the 2x and multiplied it to everything in the other bracket. So now I got to finish this one now. Now I have to worry about this guy. Now I have to worry about the 3. So I'm going to go 3, and I'm going to times it to the x squared. So I get 3x squared. I'm going to times the 3, and I'm going to multiply it to the negative 5x, which is negative 15x. And now I'm going to times the 3 to the positive 7, which is positive 21. Okay? So like I said, remember, sometimes you're going to have up to 10 terms. Like here we have 6 already. So the more things that you're multiplying together, the more you're going to get. But we're going to simplify. So I am going to go, okay, I have an x squared here, and I have an x squared here, so I'm going to have to make sure I join those up together. I have just an x here, and I have just an x here. The other ones don't have anything. Doing it what way? So we're just making sure we're multiplying everything in the one bracket with everything in the other bracket. It's just like we were doing in the previous ones. Okay, perfect. So this stays. 2x to the power of 3 stays, and you always write in decreasing power order. So x to the power of 3 starts because it has the most amount of x's. So now I'm going to join my yellows. So I have negative 10x and positive 3, so I'm going to have negative 7x squared. Now I'm going to look at my greens. So I have 14 and negative 1, which means negative x, or negative 1x. And then this guy stayed the same. The coefficient 21 stayed the same. Okay? So same thing. Just always remember to take that 2x, multiply by everything in the other bracket, take the next value, the 3, and multiply by everything in the other bracket. Okay? So if I have 4 things in one side, 4 things on the other, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're matching everything and multiplying it to everything else. You do add the exponents. So I did add the exponents. So if you look here, when I did, here I'm going to change the color, when I did this guy times this guy, I did add the exponents. Because remember that this is a 1 right here, and that's a 2. So that's how I got x to the power of 3. Because I did add the exponents there. And then same thing when I went 2x times negative 5x. When I did that one, I added the exponents. And that's how I got the square. So we are exponents. I mean, like when you're simplifying to get the answer. I can't add the exponents because 1, we're subtracting, we're not multiplying or dividing. So I can't do any more simplifying that way. And they have different, yeah, so I can't do that. Once I'm adding or subtracting, I can't do anything with the exponents. And I can't do anything right now because I don't know what the value of x is. It's still an unknown. If I knew what the value of x was, just for example, let me show you. Let's say they say x equals 1. Then I can substitute in, and then now I can start figuring out what my answer would be. So that's 3 to the power of, or 1 to the power of 3 is 1, 2, 1 to the power of 7, right? And then you just get your answer that way, okay? But that's not part of the question, so we don't have to worry about that. All right, so that is that little section there. I think that's going to be where I'm going to leave that little bit of section. So now the next part is we can verify our answer to make sure we did this correctly. So I'm going to take this question, and I'm going to take my answer, and I'm going to show you what that means. So, actually, I got to go back to question so I don't lose it. Okay. So we're going to call this verifying. So this means you can check your answer and make sure you're correct. So in algebra, there's always a way of double checking that you are doing this properly. And same thing here. So we had 2x plus 3, and then we had x squared minus 5x plus 7. Okay, so that was our original question. And we ended up getting 2x to the power of 3. Let me just look quickly. Minus 7x squared minus x plus 21, I believe, right? Did I get that right? Good. Okay. So that's the answer we got. So what we need to do is make sure that we are actually doing this correctly. And one of the ways of doing that is to substitute a number into both of them. So I'm going to substitute the number 1 in for the variable x that I don't know, and I'm going to substitute it into the original question, and I'm also going to substitute it into the answer we got, and they should match up. So like I just did on the other screen, I'm going to put this in. Okay, so we get 2 minus 7 minus 1 plus 2. Why do I think I wrote that wrong? Should it be 21? Yeah, it should be 21. That's what I thought. I think I wrote that wrong. All right. Okay, so when you do the math, I have 21 plus 2 is 23, and then I subtract 1 is 22, and then subtract 7 is 15. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so then if I go over here and substitute 1 in, I have 2, and then I'm going to multiply that by 1 plus 3, and then I'm going to have 1 squared minus 5 times 1 plus 7. Okay, so inside here, I'm just making bigger brackets, so that's fine. Here I have 2 plus 3, and here I have 1 minus 5 plus 7, and we have 5, and here we have 3. And when I multiply those together, I get 15. So you are able to, I just did the work there, guys. Sorry, I was just going quickly there. You are able to double check that when you actually took this and multiplied it to this, you can find out if you did it correctly by substituting a number in to see if you did. Okay, so I substituted in the number 1 into the answer, and I substituted 1 in for the question, and if you notice, they both matched and have the same answer. If they didn't, I'm going to go back and double check I did the math right, because sometimes that's a mistake. But if I didn't, if I went back and went, no, I did the math right, no, this looks fine, then I'm going to go back to my original working and go, did I actually get the right answer? Did I multiply it correctly? And then you can figure that out. You can just choose any number. 1 is the easiest number to multiply with, right? 1 to the power of 5 million is still 1. So you just pick 1 typically because it's so easy to multiply to another number. It just is the same answer. No matter if it's squared, cubed, to the power of 7, to the power of -3, you know, it's a little bit easier to work with than putting in a 2, a 5, or something like that. But you can pick any number. You can pick 10 if you want. It doesn't matter. It's just going to make your numbers quite big. Okay? So that is the verifying section. Okay. All right. I'm going to show you guys another part here. Okay. All right. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this one. The reason I'm showing it to you is it's a visual way, so it's really good for some of you that like to see things sort of in that method versus just all the numbers and everything. And it's also something that might pop up on some of the quizzes as a random question, so I want to make sure, and it's going to be on some of the questions I give you as well. So if I had x plus 2 and x plus 3. Okay. there's a visual way of showing it using tiles. Now, if I actually had the manipulatives with me, I could show you with that. But what I'm going to do is just sort of draw the manipulatives. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to represent x plus 2. Now, normally when you use a variable that, or use a tile for a variable, it's usually a longer square. And I'm going to just show this with you guys with a color just so you can see. But all I would do is show it with a big chunk. Okay? This represents my x value. Okay? Now I need to represent my plus 2, and if I have plus 2, that means I have 2 tile chunks that are positive 1 and a positive 1, which is positive 2. And those are usually little small chunks like this. Okay? And you can separate them with a line like that if you want. Okay? So what I just did there was drew tiles that I would have actually had in front of me. A longer tile is usually represents the variable, and little small ones represent this. And you can put little positive signs in there so it's easier for you to tell. So now I need to represent the x plus 1 now. So same technique. I'm going to use a long tile for the x, and now I need to show 3 positives instead. And I'm going to put the positives inside. And if you want, you can color that in and show it's like that. It doesn't matter. So what you are left with now is basically sort of a grid technique. Okay? And then this is where you can actually do the factoring. So some of you might like the visual better. If you don't have to worry about it. You might have a question with it, but you don't have to do the work this way if you like the foiling technique. So what this does, it takes the x plus 2, shows it visually as the x and the positive, and then it takes the x plus 3 and shows it as the x and then 3 positive tiles. So now we're going to do the FOIL technique, but we're going to do it in a visual way. So x, we're going to multiply everything together. So we're going to go x times x. We get x, oh, I'm going to change my color, sorry. I get x squared. Okay? And now what we're going to do is just multiply where everything meets up. We're going to multiply the values that meet up there. So we're going to have, we have a positive and we have an x. So if I have an x times a positive, which is like positive 1, we just have x. And we have a positive 1 and an x, and a positive 1 and an x. Okay? Are we cool with that? So this is just like saying a plus 1, a plus 1, a plus 1, because remember we had to make it equal plus 3. So that's basically what that's saying. It's just one tile and it's positive. So a positive 1 tile plus an x tile is positive x. Okay, and now I'm going to multiply this guy with the x, which gives me an x. If I have plus 1 plus plus 1 is just a positive, which is just like a positive, and a positive. So positive 1 times positive 1 is positive 1. Okay, and I do that 3 times for that one. And then this is just the exact same question, so I'm just going to repeat my numbers because nothing changes. So what we just did here visually is we showed the FOIL technique without doing all of that little lines and making sure we did that. So here is our x squared. Okay, now I'm going to join up all my other values that are the same. So how many x's do I have? You would need to use the grid only when there's a question that has a grid question on it. Okay, so it might say show this as a grid, or it might say look at the grid and tell me what it means. But if it's a question that I want you to answer, you don't have to use a grid. Okay, yeah, so I have 5 x's. So I'm going to have plus 5x, and then how many of those do I have? Good, and I have 6, and they're all positive. So there's your answer. So you can do the FOIL technique, which I'll just show you really quickly here. Oops, I thought I changed the color. So you can do the FOIL technique. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 2x 2 times x is 2x. Oops, that should be a 3. Sorry, my bad. And then 2 times 3 is 6. That's the FOIL technique. I join everything together. You get the exact same answer, okay? This is the FOIL technique. This is the FOIL technique right here. This is basically the tile technique, okay? One's more visual, one is just kind of a linear kind of way of solving step by step by step, but you get the same answer either way, okay? So the reason I'm showing that is because it will come up on some of the questions. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware of how that all worked out. Okay? All right, so I'm going to leave that at that. And I'm going to show you guys a couple other little things, and then I'm going to let you guys go and get working on some of the stuff, okay? All right, so new page. Okay, I never know how many pages I'm going to need depending on how big I write and everything. So this is the exact same thing. You're going to eventually do the foiling technique and making sure you multiply everything in one side of the bracket with everything else in the other side of the bracket. Same thing, but it looks different to start, and then you just have to make it go from there. So if I gave you guys 5 squared, what is that technically telling me to do? What is 5 squared technically telling me to do? Yeah, it's saying I want you to write the base number twice and you're going to multiply them together. If I said a to the power of 2, what am I doing? Yeah, I'm going 8 times a. If I gave you a plus 1 squared, what is that telling you to do? Might be hard for you guys to type that out. See if anyone can kind of show me by typing. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to do that too well. I'll give you guys some seconds. So what is that telling me to do? So what it's telling me to do, yeah, like I said, it's going to be hard to show. It means that, so what this 2 meant here, it means I take whatever it's talking about, write it twice. So here, whatever it's talking about, I need to write it twice. It is talking about this that's in the brackets. I need to write that twice. That's what that means. Okay? So there's no trick to it or anything like that. It just literally means whatever that 2 is referring to, that square is referring to, it means you write it twice. If it was this, x minus 5 to the power of 3, I write it 3 times. It's saying take whatever I'm talking about and I want you to write it 3 times and I'm going to multiply them together. So that's all that means. So the question I'm going to give you is going to look like this to start. It's going to start looking like the a plus 1 squared, but once you expand it out, guess what? Now you're back to the FOIL technique. Okay? So I'm going to give you guys one of these questions to do. So let's do this one. I don't even know what number we're on. I'll just call it number 1 because we're on a new thing. A subtract 3 squared. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to answer that question. Okay? Go ahead. Okay, so same thing we've been practicing a couple times in some previous questions. The only difference is this 2 is saying take what I'm talking about and make 2 of them. So we're going to make 2 of these. We're going to go a subtract 3, and we're going to go a subtract 3. And now you just do the FOIL. You go, a times a is a squared. You go, a times negative 3, which is oopsies. Which is negative 3a. Then we've finished that first a. Now we're going to look at the next number, negative 3 times a, which is negative 3a. And the negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9er. So then join all my terms together. There is nothing going on with the a squared. It is by itself, so it stays a squared. We have a couple things with the same bases. We're going to join those bad boys together. We get negative 6a, and then there's nothing going on with that 9, so it stays a 9. So hopefully you guys got that. Give me a check mark if you guys did it. And you did it and you got it, or you understand and you're like, oh, I totally get it now. Okay, I get it. So I don't need to know if you got it wrong, but I just want to make sure that you're understanding. So hopefully that your brain has grown, either because you saw your mistake and fixed it, or you got it and your brain's like, yeah, I'm rocking this thing. Okay, so I got, I think, 2 other things I want to show you, and then I'm going to leave you guys to doing some practice, because that is always important, no matter if you're playing hockey, if you're doing ballet, if you're horse riding, practice, practice, practice. Same thing with the math stuff. So I'm going to show you one that's sort of the same as what we just did, with a little difference. If I had x subtract 5 and x plus 5, something really cool happens. So it's kind of neat how this works. And as you start doing more of the FOIL technique, you'll start noticing that there is a shortcut way where you actually don't have to do all the foiling. Some people can eventually just look at this phrase and know exactly what all of the terms are without having to do things. So you'll start noticing a pattern here in a bit, and I don't want to kind of show you a shortcut quite yet. So if I do the FOIL, I'm going to take the x and multiply by the first x, I get x squared. Take the x and multiply by the 5, which is 5x. Now I'm going to go to the negative 5, multiply it by everything in the other one, which is negative 5x. And negative 5 times positive 5 is negative 25. Okay? So still doing the FOIL technique, join everything together. X squared. These guys are the same. What happens? What happens? Positive 5x minus 5x. Yeah. So what's the answer? Do I put anything down? If I have 5 apples and no, exactly. I don't even count anything. If I have plus 5 and I take away the 5 x's, there's nothing there. It's gone. So the only thing left, whoopsies, the only thing left is this. And that's your answer. So it's really cool. So when you have this, everything's the same except one bracket has the negative or subtraction, how you want to look at it, and one has the positive or addition. The middle cancels sums out, and all you have to do is multiply. How can I show this to you? I'm going to try to show this to you over here again. All you have to do is multiply the front ones, which you get x squared, and you multiply the end ones, which gets you negative 25. So it's really cool. It's kind of like a neat little shortcut that if they're both the exact same brackets and one's positive, one's negative in the middle, boom, you don't only have to worry about multiplying the F and the L, so the first and the last. You don't have to worry about the inside stuff. So that's a little trick with that. Okay, hope that's all good. Okay, if you don't remember that, then just do the FOIL technique, and guess what? In the end, it'll all work out and you'll get it all figured out. So that's all good. I want to show you, I'm just going to erase this. I want to show you this. we're not going to do this one, but I just want to show you so that you remember. If I gave you this one, it's part of a bigger question, and I don't care about the bigger question. I just want to make sure you guys see this. What do I do first? What do I do first in this one? What do I do? What do I do first? Yeah, what do I do first? What do I do first? Thanks, Josh. What do I do first? Write twice, -2. Okay, I'm getting a few things, knocking at the door. I love how you guys are using my words. I tried to like add my own little touches to it, so it's not like an official knocking at the door technique. It's just what I use, but I love it. Okay, bed mass, you guys. Bed mass. You always have to follow the bed mass rules, and for the most part, it's easy to do that. In this case, you still do. What do I do first? Do I do the multiplying first, or do I do the exponent first? What comes first in bed mass? Yes, the brackets, but there's nothing I can do inside the brackets. It's an x minus 5. There's nothing I can simplify there. So what do I do first, the multiplying or the exponents? I do the exponents first. So what I have to do is I have to expand this out first. Okay, and then I add the -2. I have to do this, I have to do the exponents first. Then you can choose what to do. You can do all of this stuff and then multiply it to this, or you can take the -2 and multiply it to everything. It's up to you. What I would do is I would do this first. I would do the FOIL technique. I would take care of all those brackets, get those brackets simplified. So it turns out like this. It'll be x squared minus 10x plus 25. Okay? And then what I would do is multiply the -2 to everything in there. That's what I would probably do in this one. That would probably be the best way to doing that. Okay? So that one, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to stress over that. It's just I wanted you to remember that bed mass is important no matter what we're doing for that. Okay, and then this one, I'm just going to show you this one as well again, and we're not going to go over it too much. But if I had this question, a subtract 3 to the power of 3, remember, it's telling me to go a subtract 3, a subtract 3, a subtract 3. Remember, it's telling me to write whatever it's talking to 3 times. Okay? Now, what do? You have 3 things. Always do 2 at a time. Do these 2 first. Okay? Do those 2 first. You get a squared subtract 6a plus 9. So right now, just so you know, because I know the shortcut way, I'm able to skip all the foiling techniques. You guys will probably have to do the FOIL technique and make sure you're doing that. I'm just going straight to the answer. If some of you can see how I got that, or the more questions you do, you can get it, that's great. I might tell you next day. Oh, I might tell you a little secret next day. Okay, so, and then I can FOIL this one. Okay, so then I will take my a squared, multiply by everything over there. I'll take the -6a, multiply by everything over there, and do that one. Okay, so the only reason I'm showing this one to you is because if there's 3 things to do 2 and then go to the next one and work that way. Okay, so there's no new teaching technique there. It's just a little trick I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of. Okay. So that is all I wanted to show you guys. Does anyone want me to go over a particular question beforehand? Does anyone want me to show you guys another type of one of them that I've gone over? So maybe look back at your notes. Is there one that you want me to show again to you? Sorry, thirsty. Okay. 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 Bella, I'll get back to you in a second here. I just need to finish off. Can you show us how to get the answer to the last example? Oh, you want me to finish this one? Yeah, I can do that. So I'm going to do the reds. So I'm just going to start at this step here, and I'm going to worry about the reds. So I'm going to take the a squared and times it by a. which is a to the power of 3, because remember you add the exponents with the bases. Then I'm going to go a squared, I'm going to times it by the negative 3, which is negative 3a squared. Okay. Now I'm going to do the blues, which is negative 6a, and I'm going to times it by the a, which is negative 6a squared. I'm going to do the negative 6a times the negative 3, which is positive 18a. All right, hopefully we're good there. And then I'm going to do the 9, the green. 9 times a is 9a, and 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. All right, and now I'm just going to join like terms. These guys are the same ones. I'm going to join those together. And these guys are the same ones, and I'll join them together. So simplifying, the a to the power of 3 stays. I have a negative 3 and a negative 6, which is negative 9a squared. I have plus 18 plus 9, which is plus 27a, or positive 27a, and the negative 27 stays. Okay. So yeah, so just doing the technique. You're welcome. You're welcome, Moana. All right. Any other ones that you guys want me to go over, and then I'll start talking about where I want you to go from here, because I technically don't see you till Monday, and then you technically don't see me, I know, no tears, till the following Wednesday. So you have basically a week to do this stuff and make sure you're understanding what we're doing. Okay. I don't see you guys on Thursdays normally. I only see you Mondays and Wednesdays. So Monday was a holiday, and I'm supposed to see you tomorrow, but remember Mrs. Ward wanted us to do a swippy swap. So yeah, so you see Mrs. Ward tomorrow for your field trip, and then you will see her on Thursday, I'm assuming. So, okay. Everything on Moodle that I've put up there is going to be for practice, okay? So I've made it so that none of the stuff is for homework, and there is a lot of stuff there. You don't have to do all of it, okay? If you super understand the FOIL technique, maybe do 2, 3, 4 questions on one section. If you're finding certain parts are harder, do some more of those. They're all just for practice, and like I said, the more you do, the better you get at it. You have the answer keys. It's just a way for you to kind of get your brain wrapping around it, okay? So none of that is, you just all for practice, all for you to do, none of it gets handed in. Okay, the test is this week from this last unit, which was all the exponent stuff. None of the stuff we're doing today or last day on polynomials, even though polynomials is awesome. But it's all in the exponent stuff. So you have to do it this week. You need to get your work done, guys. So some of you have some work to do. So I would suggest the rest of today, get your work done, which means you're also studying, okay? So if you still owe me stuff from Unit 1, do it today, which is a study technique. You're practicing, you're working, and you get your work done for me, and then you're ready to go, and you have to have the quiz done before 3 o'clock on Friday. And I have to send it to somebody at home, and someone who has to do it, be at home with you. So if your parents are working during the day, it's going to have to be done in the evening, all right? If your parents are at home during the day, then you can get it done during the day. But you need to have someone there vigilating it, and I will be sending the password to their email. So you might have to say, hey, did you check your email? It might go to their junk mail, so you're going to have those conversations with them. You will have a quiz next class, so make sure that you are ready to go, and it will be on polynomials up to this point. This is what the Moodle screen looks like. None of this gets handed in, okay? None of this gets handed in. This is just a lesson. If you want to watch it taught by somebody else, that's totally fine. Practice. This is practice, okay? This is another lesson if you want to watch. Practice, practice, practice. Okay, so it's going over everything we did today in a whole bunch of different forms with a whole bunch of practice, okay? As soon as you let me know, Jocelyn, as soon as I can see that all your work's done and you say, hey, Miss Mac, so the student emailed me, I think on Friday or Saturday, say, hey, Miss Mac, I've done everything. Can you please send me the password for the test? And so I sent the password to their, I think it was their father, and yeah, father gave it to them and it was done that way. So yeah, so if your parents are only home in the evenings, your parent will get it as soon as, I'll send the email as soon as you tell me you're ready, and then your parents will get it, and then as soon as they're home, they can vigilate it for you, okay? All right, so like I said, this is all practice-y stuff just to get you working on the concepts we did today, because it's the best way of learning is to practice it after you just got taught. And last thing is you have that midterm coming up on Wednesday. Some of you guys are going to be doing it Thursday after school instead Thursday at 1 instead next week. Okay, so that'll be the 19th for some of you. All right, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, you don't have to do all the questions on each page. You don't have to do all of them, but just do what you feel you need to do. The more you do, the better. If you're really understanding it, do a couple of each section, double check your answers. It'd be like, yep, I got this. But just make sure you're ready for the quiz next day, because you will be having a quiz for that part. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys and see some of you guys today, and the rest of you, I guess some of you, if I don't see you on Wednesday, have a good trip for WE Day if I don't really kind of see you guys. Yeah, it's going to be weird. I'm not going to see some of you guys until almost 2 weeks. It's so sad. Oh, I know you're excited, but you're going to miss me though, right? It's totally going to be crushing, heart crushing that you're not going to see me for almost 2 weeks. Okay, so have a good one. I will stay here on Blackboard if you need to send me private messages or anything like that. I'm also going to be emailing a lot of you guys and saying, hey, you owe me some work. You need to be getting that done, and some reminders about that, because some of you guys have some things that you need to get done. So check your messages in Moodle. Check your messages in Moodle. That's where I'm sending them, okay? Bye, everybody. Have a good one, and I'll stay on Blackboard for a bit if anyone needs some help. Okay, see you guys.